So what we have here is a case study of an employee of mine. Never been adjusted before. I take care of my employees just as I take care of my patients. I find that the better their health is, the better that they do in the workforce. So what we have here is her initial set of x-rays. This is her first set, lateral cervical. What we're expecting is that the bones would touch the line. That is a normal cervical curvature. What we see here is straightening of her spine, extension of her chin, and the ear should drop over the shoulder, which it doesn't, right? And so most of us today, that head carries forward. That's known as a forward head posture, which she does have, and a loss of cervical curve. This is about a year after being in the office. She didn't do anything but chiropractic care, like no massage, no PT, no acupuncture. Literally, she was just getting adjusted at a frequency of once at least, sometimes twice a week. And so during that time, we took another set of film. So what we see here is that her curve is beginning to come back. We see those bones coming back towards that line. Her ear, that little dark hole there, is definitely over her shoulder, and we can see the difference between a straight cervical spine that didn't get anywhere close to the line, that one is approaching the line. So this was in December of 24. 3 months later, she goes snowboarding at Keystone. She hadn't been snowboarding in a while. It's fun. That's what the best part about being in Colorado is, we have mountains. Sadly, she did fall, and she fell several times. Luckily, she was wearing a helmet, thankfully. But what we see here, they call this cervical myospasm, meaning that the curve straightens up, arguably reversing at C4, 5, and 6 there. Her chin is tucked, her head is pulled forward in relationship to that shoulder, and we can see that she's definitely in a cervical sprain strain. Not even 2 weeks later, she's like, let's take a look at those x-rays. She's starting to feel better. In that 2-week time, she had been adjusted at least 3 times per week for those 2 weeks in March, and then we started backing up on her frequency of care. So we went from 3/11/25 to 4/2/25, and what do we see? That chin is no longer tucked, the ear is coming back over the shoulder, and her curve is starting to restore. Even better than it was from that original set. So we see a young woman, early 20s, never receiving chiropractic care, over a year into chiropractic care, restoring her cervical curve. Then after an accident, which people fall all the time when we ski, when we snowboard, but we can see that this is definitely an injury. So you wouldn't think, oh, she fell on her butt a few times, no big deal. That's definitely a big deal. That is a sign of a cervical sprain. 2.5 weeks later, we can see that curve starting to come back after regular chiropractic care. So what might not seem like a big deal at the time can definitely be a big deal. And we can see those changes on x-ray. So for people who are skeptical about chiropractic, who think that injuries aren't a big deal, or it wasn't that bad, or maybe I'll just take some Tylenol. No, when we make those changes, when we perform that adjustment, we can see a definite change structurally in the curve of her spine. Chiropractic works. Tell your friends.